Hi and welcome back to the Cortina build. I'm Jim, and this episode we're going to move on from having the engine running to having the car moving, which is pretty exciting because it's been a long time. But to do that, firstly we need to do the clutch slave cylinder. That needs fitting, pull the hydraulic line in and bleed it all through. Got to get the prop out from the shed, clean it all down, take the UJs off because I'm going to replace those because I'm assuming they're going to be pretty tired, and then fit that. Then I've got the coolant system because currently it doesn't have one. But we've got the radiator, we just need to get the hoses and fit the whole lot. And then it's the fuel tank, because at the minute I'm using a red jerry can, which is no good for anybody. So before we get on with it, I'd just like to say, please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, and don't forget to share it with your mates and give it a good like. Carry on watching, because I'm adamant we're getting this car moving by the end of this episode. Let's get on with it. So this is my prop. I'm going to replace the UJs on this. They've been sat for a while. I don't know when they were done. I've never done them. Well, till now. So the plan is you have to put it on this piece here. Like that. Give it a little tap with the hammer to loosen these cups. Wiggle that out. We'll then do the same with that in the vise. Give this a good clean up and repaint it and put it all back together again. Now to fit the new UJs. So I'll take these two caps off, slide the body of the UJ in between, get the two outer cups in position, and then we will press them in very carefully in the vise, and in theory they should press in equally together. If not, I'll have to jig it, which I can do that, it's not a problem. You can do it by basically tapping on one end, so it'll force it left or right depending on which way you go. And then we'll repeat that process on the other end of the UJ, other end of the prop shaft, sorry, and then fit these both to the prop shaft. But I'll start with this one because I can do it on the bench. It all looks a lot easier to see. Now it's on with the coolant system. I've got brand new hoses. I've been busy with the polisher to make these parts look cool, and I've spent one arm and half a leg to get some coolant for the system. I was going to use the Evans waterless coolant, but I've decided against it because part of it is that if I ever have any problems on the road, I can't use any water in it. At least if with this system, it's not as good. The waterless coolant will control the temperatures better. But with this one, at least I can top it up. Not that I'm expecting problems, but I'd rather be prepared. And all that leaves now is to get it on. So, music on and montage. Got a drip on them. It's looking like we're going to have to take the gearbox out because there's nothing leaking from above. There's a core plug behind the flywheel. So yesterday I found the core plug was leaking. It is what it is. I looked at it before I put the engine and gearbox back together and thought, should I change this? And thought, nah, they'll be okay. Because the engines only run for very briefly and they were brand new when the engine was reconditioned. They'll be fine. Fine. No. But hindsight's a wonderful thing, and sometimes we all make mistakes. I've done it with the loom, I've done it with all sorts. It can be fixed. And to do that, firstly I need to take all the bits off that I've just done, barring the coolant system. So we need to take the clutch off, we need to take the prop off, we need to start stripping some of the other bits on that attach to the gearbox, like the starter motor and the selector. Then I can lift the car up. We'll take the gearbox out, which is a lot easier than it sounds. I can't remember whether it's I need to take the clutch and flywheel off, but c'est la vie. Gotta do it. Can't leave it. Just come into the garage now and I can see that there's a lovely bit of coolant from the front of the car all the way to the back, so that's gonna be fun because I've got to clean all that lot up. So glad I didn't get that Evans waterless coolant, because that would have been a good 70-80 quid down the drain to replace what's dropped. Not the initial purchase, that's another 70-80 quid I have to probably pay to replace all this. So pretty happy with my 20 quid coolant from Halfords. On the plus side, got a cup of tea. So smooth. Oh, it's so hot. Right, on with the work. I'll apologise now for the angle, but this is the core plug at the back of the gearbox, and you can see there's a tiny pinhole. That's where it's leaking from. Should have noticed that. Right, let's rip it out and we'll replace it. Got it! Oh. Sums it up. The new core plug's in. I'm going to try and fill the coolant up a little bit, or enough to get on that plug, and hope I don't get wet again. So the gearbox is now in. It has a bit of a fight to do. I've never done it on my back. But clutch is all sorted. It seems like the release bearing's now making contact, because I wasn't quite sure if it was before, but it definitely feels that way. So I've got to rebuild the clutch slave side of it, so I've got to put the slave cylinder on like I've already done. That sort of business. So I'm going to do that in a second. Get the starter motor back on, and all it is the prop shaft and the fuel tank. That is it. That's everything underneath done. Let's get cracking. So I'm ready finally to fit the fuel tank. Been a long time coming, this one. I've just restored it in a previous video, so please check that out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, very happy how it's going. And now, in a second, I'll have a complete boot floor. Tank's in, it's not leaked, which is brilliant, good to know. There's no more excuses. I think it's time to give it a drive. I've got the car back in. Can't believe I've driven it. It's the first time I've driven it since August 2006, when the engine went into Cadillac arrest. So, bloody hell. So now I need to figure out what actually needs to be done next. It's a lot of tweaking to do. I need to make the engine run a bit better, like fit a choke cable. I've been talking about doing the HT leads for ages. So I need to make a big list and hopefully come back and tell you all about it in the next episode. So hope you've enjoyed it. Please like it, share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Hopefully it won't be so long before the next video. So take care.